Welcome to Milking the Franchise, the Cash Cow Chronicles, where we watch movies. My name is Tanner, and that long
Chris.
move over there is Chris.
I am a long move. Thank you for noticing.
Long move, man. Welcome to the show. This is the podcast where we watch every movie in a franchise in order. We record an episode about each one in detail about the movie, and we also
with so many spoilers. Like, it's all spoilers.
It's the spoiler
so
event of the year.
If you don't want to have the movie Honey, I Blew Up, or We Blew Up Ourselves spoiled, then
we shrunk our blow-ups.
We blew up our shrinky dick.
Honey, we shrunk our blow-up doll. Yes. So, and we also watch, all the surrounding IP spin-off shows, read books, and play video games and stuff. Everything that goes along with the franchise.
Absolutely.
Try to live in it for a while, as you like to say. We like to live in this franchise. And right now we're doing Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. We're on a little Rick Moranis obsession after watching Ghostbusters. Chris, how are you?
I'm doing good this week, Tanner. I got some good news about this big project I've been working on. I'll probably talk about that a little more in the coming year. But yeah, for the time being, it was a pretty lazy week with lots of NBA basketball. The playoffs just started, and so I've been glued to my NBA League Pass this week. How are you doing?
You're from Seattle, famously, got their NBA team stolen, and moved to a different city, and now you're living in Columbia. So, Chris, who are you rooting for?
That other city that you mentioned in the middle there was Denver, and they still have their team, and their team is really good and pretty fun to watch. Did I mention that? I thought you said you lived in Seattle and then lived somewhere else, and now you live. Yeah. Anyway, whatever it is, the Denver Nuggets are pretty fun to watch this year. So
you did live in Denver. That's right. I left that out of it, but
yeah.
The Nuggets, they're pretty good, I guess. Last year, my coworker is a big Denver Nuggets fan, and he's like, at the beginning of the season, he said they're going to win the championship this year. And so I went to the casino and I put $20 on it, on his just hunch. He's like, put money on it. It's a for sure thing. And this was before the season started, and it came true. And I won like $400. Hell
yeah, dude.
Yeah.
This segment brought to you by, I don't know, one of those
DraftKings
or ESPN Bet or whatever the hell. Our entire American economy is turning to gambling.
Use the code word Milkman for 10% off and free gamble bucks.
One free gambling addiction if you use our promo code. Yeah.
For real, if you want to sponsor the show, DraftKings, make us a promo code. I'll just bow down to you. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Is there a gambling app-iverse that we could watch a bunch of movies from?
You mean a gambling, like movies about gambling or about gambling apps?
Oh yeah, maybe there's a gambling franchise like Maverick.
What do you mean? Oh, the Mel Gibson one?
The Mel Gibson gambling movie? Yeah.
I mean, there's Casino. There's 21 or whatever that was, the blackjack movie.
There's the Now You See. That one takes place in Vegas. The Now You See Me.
Well, that's about magicians, though, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I guess you're right.
Speaking of that, there's a Now You See Me. Now You See Me 3 is coming out soon.
What a terrible name for these movies.
And there's 3. They're like huge movies. They've made a lot of money. So there's once it hits 3, we're allowed to do it. So we'll look into that when it comes out. Let's see here. This week.
What are we doing today here, Tanner? We got way off the rails there for a moment.
I was going to talk about my week and how I watched O.J. Simpson's Juiced prank show.
Excellent. R.I.P.
So rest in power to OJ. No, he passed away. So this dates when this podcast is, if you're listening to this 20 years from now. And so on our bad movie night, we watched his DVD advertised on TV. It's a DVD of his prank show that he tried to make called Juiced, where he would prank people by just showing up as O.J. Simpson in a situation, and then say, "You got juiced."
Yeah. The ones that were the most heartbreaking to me is like there was one point where he pretended he was going to be a famous rapper, and like got this girl's hopes up that she was going to be like a background singer for him. And then at the end, prank, you don't get to live out your dream. This is a prank show called Juiced. It was like a couple of those people really got their shit rocked, I felt like,
Yeah, she's like, "Oh, I'm going to be on this big rap song." Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now I'm just...
They like weren't fun pranks. It was like offering someone their dream and then yanking it away and then you're right. The other ones were just OJ showing up and being OJ, and that was the whole joke. Yeah.
Setting up a guy's wife with OJ and having them like tail him like it's like some hidden camera show where his wife is cheating on him, and it turns out he's cheating on him with OJ Simpson. And that's
famous murderer OJ Simpson. Yeah.
He was acquitted.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the right word?
Pardon me. Yes.
Yeah. Anyway. So that was my week there. Yeah, felt timely, and it's insane. Don't watch it. That's my advice.
Don't. Not recommended.
Yeah, Chris, what else do we do on the show? What do we like to do here at the top?
Oh, man. Yeah. So another part of this show, for each episode we put out, we put a little survey in the show notes. So the idea with that is you guys can kind of follow along at home and make some jokes, do some little bits, some laugh 'em ups, and we'll read what you write on the show. Even if you don't watch the movies, we try to keep the questions goofy and general, so anybody can kind of play along. And so this last week we watched the movie Honey, I Blew Up the Kid, the second in this the Shrunkiverse, and so we've got the
Honeyverse.
Because
they're
Honey,
not
I
all
Did
about
Thingiverse.
shrinking.
You're right. Yeah. So we've got some responses from the survey that we put out last week to read. Yeah, and we would really encourage you guys to kind of play along. So check the show notes for this episode, and there's going to be some questions from this movie that we'll read next week.
So it's always a week delayed. It might sound confusing, but it's really not. If you listen to each episode in a row, it makes sense. If you're coming in randomly, maybe skip ahead 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. But yeah, let's get into that. Honey, I Blew Up the Kid from last week. Favorite new invention. 100% of the vote went to the blew up ray. We were debating what to call it. The enlarging ray. I think that's the one.
Enlarging ray?
Enlarged ray?
And that's from Ghostbusters again. When Dan Aykroyd gets fat.
They should have had him blow up to the size of the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
There we go.
Terrorize the city.
Mm-hmm.
Next question. Favorite large baby set piece. The winner is the Hard Rock Cafe guitar.
Ooh, classic.
He rips it out of the ground, the giant statue or thing outside the restaurant, and plays it.
It's kind of just like the sign, right?
Yeah, it's the sign, but it's a giant guitar structure, neon guitar structure. Then we got some prompts here. Besides a toddler or kids or parents, what else could you shrink or enlarge? The first answer here is you guys are trolling me with this question. I'm going to say something inappropriate. # slippery dicks.
It's trending on Twitter. Get it moving, guys.
Sent in by Willow. And then we got dog, cat, grandpa, and giant zoo animals.
Oh, hell yeah.
So, giant grandpa. Funny. It writes itself, all these things.
Mm-hmm.
A Mini Cooper, a mini fridge, and a maxi pad.
You can decide which way you want to make them, bigger or smaller.
Wait, okay. I see where you're going there.
Mm-hmm.
You just turn anything like a mini fridge into a full-size fridge. That's great. You save money for sure.
Yeah. It's better than clipping coupons. That's really the whole point of the movie that I'm proposing here.
Chris is just trying to save money out here.
Mm-hmm.
Favorite feint? So this whole series, and again today there was one.
There were two.
Was there two? Okay,
There was two. I wrote them both down too, so we'll get to them. Yeah.
It uses the Hollywood feint, I'm calling it, to comedic effect, and just like anytime somebody's surprised in one of these movies, they faint and fall over. And you know, we had the mom, babysitter, and a magician. The magician fainting was the favorite.
It fell in the pool. The magician fell in the pool. You know, like that was.
Yeah, she could have died. That's pretty funny. She could have drowned. Especially when there's just a bunch of kids there. Like
for death, hilarious, hilarious.
It was only children in that yard, so like they're not gonna pull her out.
Oh, they don't know CPR, dude.
They don't know. They're too small to get a
chest compressions now. They can't keep track. They're babies.
Yeah. Plus, kids hate adults. Why would they save them?
Yeah.
All right. What situation would you get out of by pretending to faint? Then we got. Let's see. Forgot to do my homework. Getting out of work for the day, of course. Answering this question, and then faints. Wow. I have to act that one out.
Yeah, it's more of a visual joke, that one. It's hard to read out on an audio format.
And then this one, oath as state comptroller. What's a comptroller?
I don't know.
A management level position responsible for supervising the quality of accounting and financial reporting of an organization. Okay, I thought it was a...
So that sounds like a final boss in the accounting department.
So before they take an oath, before they take an oath to like say that they didn't steal money or something like that, maybe they
faint on out of
it.
I love it.
Nice, thank you, Willow. Besides the Hard Rock Cafe, which was music, or the Planet Hollywood for movies, what other memorabilia restaurants would you make? A memorial restaurant to all the NPCs we lost in various video game wars. Planet Bookstore. I think I brought that up last week.
Mm-hmm.
Giant library restaurant. And then Planet Cooperstown, or like a sports memorabilia place. You know, I think that could be big. You have like Michael Jordan's shorts hanging over you while you eat. Or, you know,
you spill tartar sauce on them.
Shaquille O'Neal's socks. Or whatever it is. Yeah, I think that could be pretty cool to see all like old, I don't know, baseball uniforms, like Babe Ruth's hat. I don't know. Sure. I feel like that could be an easy one.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that there isn't a franchise that has done that. You know what I mean? Because there's so many professional athletes. You know, like you could fill those things with stuff.
I wrote Planet Cooperstown, and I'm wondering now, there might be a restaurant around like the Baseball Hall of Fame that has something like that. Who knows?
That's true. And I guess there is like sports memorabilia in a ton of different bars and restaurants. So I think it would just be elevating it to memorabilia you actually want to see.
To a planet. Yeah. This would be like taking that up to like a planet size.
Mm-hmm. What would you call it? Planet Cooperstown?
For baseball.
Okay.
Or Planet Sport?
Planet Sport. Mm-hmm.
What about Nike Planet?
Ooh.
And it's like a Nike themed, but also sports memorabilia themed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Then we got another books. Just imagine seeing a pencil Roald Dahl wrote with. Oh, how great it would be.
Yeah, I don't know that would be a great restaurant.
The Roald Dahl.
Planet Books.
It'd
be cool to see some Roald Dahl stuff, but I don't.
A Roald Dahl restaurant would be cool. You know, eating giant peaches.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then let's see this. So next question: this franchise focuses on shrinking and enlarging something. What other scientific hijinks could you do with a ray gun? So like, what we are going for is what else can you do besides shrinking and enlarging?
Mm-hmm.
We got a stretch ray, a skinny / fat ray. An orgasm ray, invisibility ray. Ooh, I like that one. You can turn yourself invisible. That's great. Honey, we disappeared ourselves.
Yeah, get Wayne Zielinski on that.
And then, dude, we'll take like a $20 bill and enlarge it. It'll be worth like $1,500.
$1,500. Yes. The bigger they are, the more they're worth.
Dude. That sounds like a stoner comedy idea. Stoner comedy mixed with this movie could be fun.
Yeah.
Dude, let's make that dub sack a 200 sack. And then rate Honey, I Blew Up the Kid. Not great here. We got a 2 and a 3 out of 5 somewhere in there.
Yeah.
So not our best reviewed movie. 3 is like a pass for me. So, I think I said that I still liked it, but it isn't a good movie.
I think I put the 2 on there. It was just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Wasn't doing it for me.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's Honey, I Blew Up the Kid, and now we're going to turn our attention to the final movie in the Rick Moranis Honey franchise, Shrunk franchise, called Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves. So,
Wayne Zielinski, when will the hijinks end?
They went small. They went large. They went small again, but different people. Now it's the adults. It's reversed. Yeah. So this movie came out in 1997, and it was directed by Dean Cundey. His first and only directorial work. But he is an Academy Award winner or nominated cinematographer who did all sorts of movies. The cinematography for Halloween, The Thing, Escape from New York, bunch of John Carpenter stuff like that. Let's see.
Back to the Future.
Yeah, Back to the Future.
Romance in the Stone, dude. That's
Who Framed Roger Rabbit? That was what he was nominated for.
Roadhouse is in there.
Roadhouse, next week's movie. Little.
That's right.
Little
I see
foreshadow
Hook on there and Casper. Those are he's an accomplished dude. Oh my
Jurassic
goodness.
Park.
Yeah.
Apollo 13 nominated again for some stuff, and then it's all just like shitty comedies, for whatever reason.
Well, he's a cinematographer. I don't think you can put that on him.
I know, but cinematographers should be doing more like, if you're a really good one, you should be doing more. That's
true. It seems like the person who did cinematography for Back to the Future should be getting better work than.
Although they're kind of fun stuff like Flubber, and there's a little bit more of a action-y vibe to some of these. The Looney Tunes movie, Garfield, future movie Garfield.
I kind of want to watch Flubber again at some point just to see how well. It reminds me a lot of what we've gotten from these movies, wacky scientist with hijinks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a remake of The Absent-Minded Professor, so
okay.
On remake month. Yeah, so that's that guy's history right there. Great cinematographer, and this is his only movie he directed. And honestly, he should have done the cinematography for it. I think it would have been better.
Seriously, yeah, the visuals in this movie were pretty disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a $7 million movie, direct-to-video situation, so it's a low-budget movie, and it's only 75 minutes long. I think 70 minutes is the minimum requirement to call itself a movie.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That's probably just to keep people from making a bunch of 69-minute movies just for the LOLs, for the lulls. Yeah.
Good point. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Should we jump into this movie, Tanner?
Well, unless you want to talk about 69-minute movies. That's 69 1-minute long movies.
Sign me up.
Yeah, where do we want to start here with Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves, Chris?
Yeah. I don't know. We're back at the Zielinski household. And a bunch of new actors, right? The mom was even different, right? It's pretty much just Rick Moranis and then a whole new cast around him.
Yeah, the mom was a different actress for sure.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure.
And there's only one kid, so I think it's supposed to be like the kid from Honey, We Blew Up the Kid, who was a
Yeah.
toddler in that movie, has grown up to be, I don't know, like a 10-year-old kid. Would that be where you'd kind of place that kid at?
Yeah, something like that. It seemed like they did mention the other two kids, Nick and Amy, that they're
Yep.
both basically out of the house. So they're just
Yep.
gone for now. But it
Uh,
does seem to take place. It's not like they're replacing those kids with new actors.
yeah.
Just kind of like later on.
But that actor that they got to play, what's the kid's name again? My
Uh,
apologies.
Adam, and
Adam.
it's
Thank
played
you.
by Bug Hall.
That's what I wanted to talk about. What a perfect name for for an actor in this franchise, right?
Bug Hall, yeah.
Bug
Oh
Hall,
yeah, the
man.
bug. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Um, he played Alfalfa in the Little Rascals movie from the 90s.
Oh, I did not connect that. Okay. Yeah,
He
I've
also,
seen Little Rascals a bunch of times.
yeah, while we're on it, I guess if we're talking about Bug Hall, he also got arrested a few years ago for huffing air duster outside of like a building or something like that.
Oh my. Well, on that note, should we talk about his co-star Allison Mack, his sister?
Oh, I was okay. Wasn't sure if you had figured that out. I was gonna drop this bombshell on you. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's get to her though. What?
Okay, we'll save that.
Yeah. So yeah, we got the new family here, or not the new
Uh-huh.
family, but the kids growing up. And what is happening? They're talking about getting the shrink ray to the Smithsonian, right? So he's got to like fix it up and bring it somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, they're going to set up the shrink ray at the Smithsonian, and Wayne doesn't really trust the people who work there. So he decides to set it up at his house to make sure everything still works, which seems not like a great idea, but whatever. That's kind of what they did. I did think there was a funny thing when he was talking to his kid. He's like, "It's so great. It's going to be at the Smithsonian next to the gramophone." And the kid
Yeah.
goes, "What's that?" And he goes, "An early record player." And the kid goes, "What's that?" And he goes, "An early CD player." And the kid's like, "Oh, okay." But it made me feel so old
Yeah.
because there's like two iterations
Yeah. You
that
can
joke
add
can
more.
keep going now. Like,
What's that?
oh,
It's like an MP3 player. What's that?
yeah,
Oh, it's like a Spotify streaming playlist.
exactly right. Exactly those two. Um, yeah, so I don't know, just a little throwaway bit, but I thought it was funny because it like super dates this movie and makes me feel really old.
Yeah, but it's kind of funny. This movie, I feel like, has more jokes in it than the last movie.
Yeah,
Overall,
yeah.
it doesn't always. It's not like hilarious or anything, but this
They
kid
spent
is
time
actually
putting
kind of funny
jokes
though.
in there, though.
I feel
Yeah,
like Bug Hall is actually pretty good. He was making me laugh with some of the little things, like the volcano. I don't know, just stupid kid stuff. But I was like, this kid's kind of good.
the kids. I thought all the kids were pretty good.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, and then we also get a little cameo. Well, we'll save that like a cameo for when we get to it. But yeah, I don't know. Good group of kids that they got to play the full size roles in this movie because all the adults get shrunken. Yeah, so Bug Hall, Adam's kind of character arc here. He is getting sent to Camp Isosceles, which is a math camp, but that's not really what his interests are. He's different than his dad, and he wants to go to baseball camp. So it's kind of a flip on the, you know,
Yeah, he wants to do
the
something.
stereotype, right? Like normally the dad wants you to go play sports, but this dad's a nerd, so he wants him to go to math camp. And yeah, what else is kind of going on at the beginning of this
I
movie?
think
It's the
main plot of this movie we find out soon is that there's a giant tiki man, and Wayne Selinsky's going to do whatever he can to keep this giant tiki man.
Yes,
That's the plot of the movie, right?
that's most of the movie. This Tiki Man gets a lot of coverage. Do you have any thoughts on this Tiki Man, Tanner?
I mean, I've had so many and also none. You know, like
Uh-huh.
it's baffling. It's just a strange part of this movie. It's like
That's-
how would you describe it even? It's just like a
oh, it's a
little
giant
statue.
wooden statue,
Yeah.
like 10 feet tall, like bigger around than a tree trunk with
When you say
giant red
giant,
eyes.
when you say giant in this franchise though, it's like it's pretty normal sized. But yeah,
fair.
it's like
Yeah.
it's like 10 feet tall.
Yeah, I can't
red eyes.
hyperbole with this movie, can I?
Yeah, and it's just inexplicably like right when you walk in the house, like right by the stairs. It's just like right there, and he just for no reason, it's just his thing. He likes this Tiki Man thing, and he wants to have the Tiki Man thing around, but the wife doesn't want it. She's like, you can't even hang a jacket on it. But is there any reason for him to keep it? He says, is it like good luck or something?
I have no idea. It's a baffling thing.
It's such a choice.
It's such a choice, and they use it a bunch of times in the story, obviously. But like,
yeah,
it's such a strange like
this movie just is
thing
built.
to choose.
This movie exists around the Tiki Man.
Oh yeah, without the Tiki Man, there's no story to this movie. It just doesn't happen. Yeah, this is the the instigating event.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you get the Tiki Man thing. There's also some new inventions that he's got here. He's got a new mailbox tube system.
Yep.
Where the mail comes in through a tube, but it's going through the wrong tube and it comes out into their cereal or something. He's got a new phone helmet. This one's solar powered, so he's got to stay in the light to make a phone call. Pretty bad invention. They go to like
figure out this solar power shit, dude. Like you can't always be in the sunlight.
Yeah.
To like put a battery on that thing, you know?
Yeah, you got to have. That's why the hybrids are good because you get the electricity with the gas and stuff like it's kind of like you got to have the solar power with the energy with the battery power.
Plus a little coal plant on the back. So when it's not sunny, you can just burn just a little bit of coal to take that phone call or whatever.
You're a big coal guy, aren't you?
I think I'm just stuck on the coal bowl. I will never get off of that. So I'll bring up coal whenever I can. Shouts out to Charlie's Angels, Full Throttle. Yep.
Yeah. Shouts out to McG.
Yep.
We're gonna go to this. I have trouble saying his name because of the SZ. Zelensky. Yeah. You go to his work where the labs are, and he gives a terrible speech about his shrink ray or whatever it is, and you find out that there's another guy there. It's his brother who works for the company now. He seems like maybe a little bit better at doing the speech portion of it. But he works with him at this lab, and they kind of wander through. You see some more inventions and what they're working on at this lab, like a dog talking machine. So it interprets what the dog is saying when it barks, and bark means hello. And then you get this another crazy idea for illuminating construction workers at night. So the problem that they need solved is this is like that Jackbox game where it's like create a problem and then try to solve it with an invention.
Yeah.
It's like the problem is it's hard to see construction workers at night, so like people don't want to hit them or whatever on the roadside. So their solution is to make a pill that illuminates your entire body.
Yeah, so you glow like a glow stick.
What is this idea?
It's a terrible idea.
It sounds really bad for you.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not supposed to glow like that. And can you imagine telling a bunch of construction workers that they need to drink glow stick fluid?
And they're all just glowing every day? Yeah, what the fuck?
I guess, dude. Just buy some lights, dude. Put like
buy lights. I mean, that's what they already had. It wasn't a problem that needed fixing.
Yeah, I don't know.
In that way. It's not like they're just doing it in pitch black. Shout out to Vin Diesel.
Okay, so I feel like this might be a question for us later. So this glow stick fluid, also they can't get it to work.
Yes.
But then at the end, Wayne proposes they put milk in it. Like, what should you actually use this for? Like, obviously, construction workers' visibility at night, this seems like a huge waste of time. But there's got to be a good use for this, right?
A practical use for illuminating your entire body?
Yeah, like maybe
I can't
like
think
a Halloween thing. You could like really scare people.
Sure, yeah, that's a good use for it. I guess spend billions of dollars of R&D and that just so you can glow at Halloween.
Oh, dude, I bet OK Go would make such a cool music video out of that.
Wow, speaking of dating yourself.
I know, right? They'd all be different colors. Like I could see it, you know?
I mean, there are some cool effects like that. Maybe at the Sphere in Las Vegas, you could take it and like light up the room. Or like have
Yeah.
it be pitch black and playing music, but you're all illuminated. Sure, there's some cool things.
Dude, yeah, like imagine like a silent disco that's also dark, but everybody is like glowing like that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, we just beat Coachella. We just invented something cooler.
Yeah, let's get to work on this. Neon radiation pill or whatever.
Yeah.
So they take this pill. It's not quite working yet, and then only their tummies light up. And you said, so it's like it's not working yet, and that's the joke. Is like their tummies are all illuminated. They're like it's just sitting in your gut, and then so yeah, he says that adding milk to it, it'll go straight to your bones. That way, you can light up your entire body or into the bloodstream,
science, baby.
Into the bloodstream or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy ideas.
I did actually appreciate that idea though, because like a talking dog machine is something that like, I don't know, it doesn't really feel that creative, but this was something I had never, like, what a bonkers idea. You know what I mean?
It's insane. Yeah.
Yes.
This is kind of what that TV show did for us though too, where they had a lot of just crazy ideas for every episode. This could be an episode of that show, let's work with an illumination thing that we invented. Anyways, what else we got here? Have we met the other side of the family yet?
I guess that kind of happened in this intro as well. So the brother is Wayne's coworker at his lab where Wayne is the president. And his brother's wife is this woman named Patty, who we also meet at the beginning. And Patty and Diane are planning like a girls' trip where the two of them are going to go off and get a break from their kids and all that business. And then we also see the kids. So Patty, what's the brother's name again? Gordon,
the young boy, or
Gordon.
Oh yeah. The brother.
And we meet their kids, and so one of the kids is the girl. Oh, pardon me, Jenny.
And Mitch.
Yep. So those are the kids from the other side of the family.
These are their cousins. Yeah.
Yep. And at the beginning, when we first meet Mitch, his sister goes, "Yeah, well, at least I'm not sick all the time." What a shitty thing to say to your brother. And then he goes, "Yeah, but it's
not my fault. I have a potassium deficiency."
Yeah, and it's not his fault. Give the guy some slack.
Well, what's a potassium deficiency do? Is that a thing?
I don't know. I've never heard of that before. Is that a real illness that's an issue?
I don't know, but I want to talk about this a little bit later. Yeah. When we get to the end, we'll talk more about this potassium.
Yeah.
But yeah, you hinted at something here, Chris, and I was kind of hoping to drop this bombshell. I didn't bring it up to you. But yeah, the actress, the girl in this movie is played by Allison Mack.
She's great in this movie.
Sure, she is pretty good.
Yeah, she's a good child actor.
She's a good child actor, and she's also a great sex trafficker.
Yes, she. If you've not heard of Allison Mack, she was in the news a bunch for being a part of the NXVIM sex cult. There was like a documentary on Netflix and stuff.
Yeah, The Vow.
Yeah. So
yeah, she. I mean, yeah, if you're not aware of it, it's like it's called NXVIM, but it's NXIVM. Yeah, and she was also in Smallville. She's an actress in that. But she was charged with sex trafficking and multi-level marketing. She helped the cult leader, like, what's his name here? Keith Raniere. She was like the recruiter for him and like the number 2 in command of the secret sex cult. It's so crazy. Yeah.
It's so bizarre.
Just to like see her pop up in something, I remember when this news came out, I was like, oh, that's crazy. But it didn't I don't know if I followed it too intently. I didn't watch The Vow.
And I didn't watch Smallville, so I didn't really know who she was.
Right, same.
Yeah.
It was weird because she was like a pretty, famous actress. 200 episodes of a popular show is a lot. She was, let me just see some things here. She was in charge of The Source, in quotes, a group dedicated to enlisting actors into the group. She was also part of a a cappella group for NXVIM.
They had an a cappella group?
Yeah, called Simply Human. I don't really understand what they do. They just recruit people, give them money, and then like some people get invited into the bowels of it, and I don't even know. It's like how do they frame something like that as like a self-help group or something?
Yeah, I mean that was did you watch The Vow at all?
No.
They kind of detailed it. Yeah, they would like it was started off as like a self-help group, and that Keith Raniere guy was like pitched himself as this like visionary guru, and so like he would try and get people around him, and then oftentimes it would like escalate sexually, but then those people in the inner circle would basically get blackmail from the people that were in the group so that then they could control them and make sure that they didn't leave and they didn't go to the police and all sorts of things like that. And so you had like basically a big brother or big sister within the group that would like hold on to this blackmail and like keep you from speaking out against stuff. And like also use it to coerce you into like getting deeper and deeper into this thing. It was pretty gross to watch because I did watch The Vow. It was real weird.
I might have to watch it now that I've seen a movie with Alex Mack, or not Alex Mack.
You're thinking of The Secret
Allison
World
Mack.
of Allison
The
Mack.
Secret World of Allison Mack.
This is Allison Mack. Yeah.
That'd be a good documentary.
Yeah.
No, and they were like branded with his initials or something, and apparently that was this girl's idea for the branding part of it.
Oh my.
So just crazy
anyway,
to see in
crazy
this.
to see. This is her in simpler times when she's like 14 probably, and just like
she's still innocent.
And her whole vibe as an actress too is just like smiles and like wholesome, which makes it even weirder that she got sucked into this whole thing or was like charging all this thing. I don't want to speak to who's responsible here.
A big part of a big scene in this movie is her rejecting this guy that tries to kiss her and gets all upset about the consent of it and all this stuff. And I was like, that is a crazy scene knowing what happened later,
Without a doubt. Yeah. And then her mom tells her she trusts her and she is going to she makes great decisions and stuff. Yeah. It's kind of funny.
Pretty wild.
With current context. Pretty wild. Yeah.
So yeah, she's in this movie and back on track though. You meet the kids. And we at
the science lab, the dad and the brother, they win space shuttle tickets. There's a space shuttle landing, and it's Friday night, so they're going to go check out the space shuttle. Hell yeah! So they call home and leave a message. Diane hears it and calls back and is like, "No, you're not going. Me and Patty, Aunt Patty, are going on our ladies' trip, and you have to come home and watch the kids." Nice try, though, Wayne.
Nice try.
But that voicemail comes back. So then the two men go home to watch the kids at the house, and the moms go on their little lady trip. And one of the things that they have to do, that Wayne and Gordon have to do while the women are away, is to get rid of the Tiki Man. It's time. It's become a problem in their marriage, and they need to get this thing out of the front hallway. And so that's one of the things that they have to get sorted.
He always brings it into the bedroom with them, which is kind of a weird decision. But he says it helps him perform, right?
Right. They go into depth about that. None of that is true. So where do we go from here, Tanner?
Oh, let's see. So they decide, of course, the Tiki Man is the catalyst for all of this. They decide to shrink the Tiki Man so he can always have it around with him. Like it's so important to him. He must have this Tiki Man on him at all times.
It also seems like the most obvious solution to this problem for a man who created a shrink ray.
He's like, oh, I got this fully functioning shrink ray right up here. And he just, it's under his sheet. It's always under his sheet.
And his brother's like, oh my gosh, you're a genius. And it was like this dude's
we all know this.
Famous for a shrink ray. Like, of course he's going to use the shrink ray.
Also, like, they had mentioned that the FDA doesn't allow, like, the FDA is in charge of this. This is more of like I don't know, the military should be involved here or something.
I did actually like that recurring joke because it was like, how did they frame it? It was a joint decision by the FDA and his wife.
Yeah.
And they brought that joke back once. And I thought it was a nice little joke. Yeah.
So yeah, they shrink that. during this scene, there's also like a flash into the car with the ladies, and they're listening to their Neil Diamond cassette. They're all excited. And then
Hot
they
August Night,
realize,
baby. I re-listened to it today.
well, the album.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Did you
Got about 3 songs
in the spirit of this movie, or?
Yes.
Nice.
I don't listen to Neil Diamond very often on my own.
What songs are on that album?
It's a live album, so the hits.
Ba ba ba. Is that him?
Yep. Sweet Caroline's on there.
Sweet. Well, that I just lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, they realized that they forgot their kids' medicine or something. Is that right?
Yeah, Patty has. So again,
potassium
has that
boy.
potassium deficiency, and he needs meds for it. And Patty accidentally had them in her pocket, so they have to turn back around and get his meds dropped back off. And meanwhile, Wayne doesn't want the boys, the kids in the house, and so he basically sends them to the store with some money to buy toothpicks, and he uses like this science experiment kind of as a ruse. But he gets the kids out of the house so that they can go upstairs and use the shrink ray without shrinking the kids again. Because he learned a lesson, maybe not quite well enough, but he learned a lesson from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a total deadbeat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's see what happens here. They get shrunk, right?
Yep. So they shrink the Tiki Man, and then they're using magnifying glasses to look for it. And Pool Ball falls and does like a little Rube Goldberg thing and hits the button and shrinks them too. So now Gordon and Frank and Wayne are both super, super tiny.
And the wife, both the wives come back as well. And they go upstairs looking for them, I guess. And they stand right in the little marked square. There's like a marked square for where the shrink ray is going to be. Mm-hmm. It's like, if you're standing in that square, you could get shrunk, and they stand right in it while they're looking for them.
Sure do.
And another pool ball falls the same way and hits the button, turns it on. What a terrible setup. I mean, how are all these things just falling onto the shrink ray constantly?
Right. And again, without the Tiki Man, without this giant, like, it's just such an obtrusive plot device. Like, without that, none of this movie works. But we do get at this point. What does Diane do as soon as she gets shrunk? Faint number one.
Oh, she faints.
Yeah. Yes.
I missed that one. It just seems so normal to me. I don't even notice.
You just ignore. Yeah, you just go right past you at this point.
There's a scene of them kind of climbing this wicker chair. That's like one of the small set pieces there. Mm-hmm. So they climb this wicker chair up to the window, and they look out, and they're like, "Oh, good, our car is here. That way the kids will know that we are here, but they can't find us, and they'll come find us." So they kind of give a mini celebration, which is like the logic of that is kind of silly. That they're necessarily going to know that they were shrunken. But then the car like rolls backwards into the neighbor's house across the street, right into their driveway, and stops.
Yep.
Which there's a lot of things that don't make sense here. They had referenced earlier they heard a sound in the car. And so she put these little wood blocks behind the tires because she's like, who knows? It could be the brakes. You can't be too careful kind of thing. And so it turns out that the car does roll on its own. But then, Chris, it gets into the other driveway and stops. How come it doesn't roll forward again?
This is such a good question, Tanner. I don't know. Also,
and just
I've had
randomly
brake before, and they don't make a lot of noise beforehand. It's just like they get soft. You know what I mean? You have to push them harder.
And it wouldn't just like start rolling out of nowhere. I don't know.
I know.
You got the brake on.
This movie does a lot of these things where it brings up one little like offhand comment and then like revisits it later like this. And like I guess it's foreshadowing, but it's like such a stretch. You know, it just like they need the car to be gone, so let's put a quick bit of like her putting blocks behind the tires at the beginning, you know?
Yeah, it's it's not great writing, but it's silly. It's a cheap movie. It's a kids movie. So meanwhile the kids come home, right? And they don't they've got a bunch of snacks.
The timing is kind of funny because the driveway, the car rolls across the street and parks, and that's right as the kids walk home. So they miss the car and they show up at home.
I wanted to note a few things. Allison Mack, before they go to the store, she extorts Wayne out of $10.
This is true.
And buying all the buys a bunch of snacks, and then I don't know how they realize that the parents are all of a sudden gone, but like, why would they just assume that they're gone for the whole night because they decide to have a party and stuff?
That's that space shuttle voicemail. So they go play the voicemail, and it's Wayne saying that they got tickets to the space shuttle launch, and so they're going to go do that. You have, we'll be back tomorrow or something.
Got it. Okay, I didn't put that together.
Yep.
And she also, Allison Mack, I just want to say, also makes all the kids make a secret pact. Like they can't tell anybody about this. So just some little subtle clues about this girl's future.
Yeah, just some breadcrumbs.
Yeah, exactly. These are the threads that the documentary follow, by the way. They watched this movie. Yeah.
I love that you were picking up on that, because through this whole scene, I was just laughing at what they fucking bought at the store, because they had $10, but they come back with 3 full paper bags of groceries that must have had 15 bags of chips in them.
Yeah.
Did you pick up on that?
I did, yeah. They had way too much I don't know what things cost in the 90s, but even for that, there's no way.
Yeah, well, in particular, they had rolled gold pretzels, they had Lay's, they had Doritos, they had Ruffles, and they had at least 3 bags of Tostitos. I paused to try and count. That's for 3 children. Who is going to eat that many chips?
When you were a kid and you went to the store with some money, what did you buy? I bought candy and chips.
Yeah,
that's all I bought. Was that?
Did you buy 6 giant to share bags of chips like that?
I would have.
3 children?
I would have. Yeah, I would have.
Okay.
If I had $10, I would have.
Ooh, $10? Hot dog. Okay.
Also, maybe Chris, all these brands, in there. How else do you think they could finance this movie? Come on.
Yeah, that's true. There's a lot of product placement in this bad boy.
What were you gonna say?
And anyway, the chips just made me laugh. It was like such a silly, preposterous number of chips. But again, maybe that's foreshadowing. They come back. So who the hell knows, man? At this point in the movie, the parents need to get downstairs, right? Because they realize the car's gone, and the only way that they're going to be able to get the kids' attention is to go downstairs, because the kids don't really go up to the attic. So they use a fishing line that's conveniently located right at the window, and they take that down to the first floor so that they can try and get the kids' attention.
Yep, they lower down and fall down. While this is happening, the kids are... Well, what is this when they're in the bedroom, actually? Where do they land when they fall down with the fishing wire?
Yeah, they go into the boys' bedroom. Into Adam's bedroom.
So it'd be like the next level down. They're in the attic down to the second story.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so they find the kid in there. They're trying to yell at him and get his attention, and he's just kind of doing whatever. He's singing a song. He's all, parents are gone, baby. We got the night alone. I'm going to do a science experiment, even though I like baseball. And he gets his volcano from a science fair or something. And takes it downstairs. And
that cracked me up. I was like, what is this boy doing? He's just cruising through to grab his volcano. Yeah. Got to go grab my volcano real quick.
Yeah, so they end up, they're also filling water balloons full of chili, and I'm kind of like, where is this all going here? Turns out they're making a volcano eruption like you would do in a science fair or science class or something. But then they put the chili balloon in there as well, so when it pops, chili comes all out, and there's these little hot dog people that they did. And I for some reason I like this scene because they're just kind of improvising and eating the hot dogs, and I don't know.
It was silly.
Kid was kind of funny. I just think that the kid, the bug kid, he just has a natural comedic tone to him as a child actor.
No, I totally agree.
Maybe I'm complimenting Bug too much, but
I think
he was funny as Alfalfa in that Little Rascals movie too. He was good.
Yeah, iconic character in Little Rascals.
And now he's huffing air.
It turns Turns out Wayne and Diane Zelinsky weren't very good parents based on how their children turned out from this movie.
Oh my God, no kidding. Yeah, so that's happening. Then we got the parents, they were on the boys' table and they see a way out of here. Chris, you want to take this over? Because this was your idea, wasn't it?
Yeah, I didn't know that this was coming, but I think in one of these that I proposed that they should use Hot Wheels, and they sure do in this scene. Yeah, this movie's kind of like an adventure through the house instead of an adventure through the yard like the first one was, and so it's like anything you can think of they tried to kind of throw in. And so on this scene
I like that about they had some fun ideas in this movie.
I thought so too. Yeah, the execution wasn't always there, and the visuals, just all the green screen was so much worse than the real effects in the first movie that it like takes you out of the movie.
I wrote that instead of large sets where they'd have like a giant Lego on set that like, it's like a normal size set, but everything was large from what am I trying to say? Like in this small world, but they'd have everything in a large set. Yeah, it was just like a picture of something taken at ground level, and then like they stand in front of that photo, and it's always like kind of blurred too. It's not even like a clear version of it. So yeah, very cheap and shitty for that.
Very cheap looking, and every human's hair in any green screen looks terrible. Like they just haven't gotten the technology quite. It's just like it's like helmet hair. I don't know. It really takes you out of the movie.
I know the side that you're talking about. I didn't notice it in this necessarily, but
okay.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Where it's kind of like shitty, like scruffy around the edges. You can kind of see like where the hair is meeting the green screen, right?
Yeah. So anyway, but we get this cool Hot Wheels scene. I did like this scene. They used braces, bands, as seat belts, like all this shit.
What were those things?
They're the little rubber bands that you use on your braces to keep the pressure. I never had braces, so I don't know if they have a name.
I have no idea.
I don't know. Yeah, but it's a pretty fun. It's a fun little scene. They use these rubber bands as seat belts, and they load up in the Hot Wheels car, and that is a sick Hot Wheels setup.
That's so cool.
Oh, it's got like multiple of the spinning things that give you more speed. There's loop-de-loops. There's all sorts of shit, man. Everything.
Yeah, I remember that
Hot Wheels setup. Yeah,
that little track thing in the middle where there'd be like multiple ins and outs of it that would like speed it up and like get the car moving again as it passed through. So it got another burst of energy every time it passes through it.
Oh yeah, and the one that he's got has them going crossways so the cars can hit each other, which would be awesome. Like
I remember that commercial. As a child, like seeing them, like there'd be like a little crash in slow motion, and like the cars would kind of fly out of that part.
Yeah,
and then the kids would all be like,
"Yeah." And honestly, from how I reacted to this scene and how we're talking about it now, this is great product placement. Like, how many kids do you think went out and were like, "I need that Hot Wheels set" after seeing this movie?
At least the dozen of them. Yeah,
at least all 7 of them that saw the movie
that rented it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's them cruising around this track, and just behind it's like really shitty green screen, and it could have been very cool. The idea is very cool, but the execution's a little just not impressive as like the first movie was impressive with the effects. There's a little bulldozer trap part as well. I don't know what that's all about. And then it ends with a jump. Of course, every car Hot Wheels track has to have a jump at the end where the car goes flying.
Legally. Has to legally.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the kind of stuff I always did. A lot of jumps and stuff. And they jump off right into the laundry chute, which was a thing that houses used to have. I could explain it, but Chris, isn't it weird that people had like these laundry chutes like that? Like a big, like, every room had like an open, not every house had this, but like a hamper that they'd open in their wall and just like throw it down into the laundry room.
I mean, I guess maybe I've been renting for too long, but do they not do that anymore?
I mean, I can't think of anyone I've ever seen or somebody's house I've been to where there's like a laundry chute.
Okay.
I can't imagine that being in someone's house now. But I feel like I saw it in movies a lot. at this time, I don't know.
Yeah, it feels like something from a Home Alone movie. I know they used a dumbwaiter, but is there one of those too?
Is that Home Alone? Some movie I'm thinking of. Yeah, there's like laundry chutes at hotels and stuff like that, or garbage chutes.
Yeah.
Where it all kind of all the tubes in the hotel kind of go into one spot, either the laundry or the garbage room.
Yep.
Anyways, so they wind up in a pile of dirty clothes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What happens?
And after all that, they're immediately brought back up to Adam's room. He gets like a notification that he needs to go do his laundry, and so they get grabbed up out of the laundry chute and brought back upstairs. The CGI, the green screen on them falling down the laundry chute might have been the worst CGI of the entire movie. Like that particular scene, it was really hard to. Yeah. Anyway, but
so there's this giant pile of clothes just getting rocked around for a while too. It doesn't. Yeah, even that is kind of underwhelming the way it looks, but kind of fun. Being in the hamper, but
fun idea.
Why?
For sure.
Okay. Yeah. Again, like a lot of great ideas in this movie, just no budget to do it. I was going to say, though, there's no way these kids are doing laundry. Their parents are out of town, and he's like, oh, I got to do my laundry.
Right.
First of all, there's no way that kid does his own laundry, even when the parents are around. There's no way, right?
Right. He takes a break from Chili Volcano to go do chores. Like, not fucking happening. That's not happening.
Yeah, they're worried about, like, they made a huge mess in the kitchen. He's like, well, it's time to do laundry. Time to move the plot along.
Yeah. If I forget laundry, I'm in trouble.
And this is all an elaborate ruse to, like, okay, I guess the set pieces, they're in a laundry basket. Okay, what can we have? We'll get him to the next spot by having him pretend that he's going to go do laundry. And then it all ends in a joke where they get up to the room, they kind of dump him out of the laundry bin, and they're like, hey, I got this cool thing to show you, bro, to his cousin, the other boy. Mm-hmm. And they take this magazine, and they both look at it like, oh, my God, whoa. And all the parents are, like, freaking out because they're supposed to be – they're implying that it's like a porno magazine or something.
Without a doubt.
Like a
yes, that's the implication.
Yeah, some kind of Maxim or something like that, maybe. Yeah, and so then – they drop the magazine. They're like, we'll jerk off to this later. Let's go. And they leave the room, and the parents are like, I got to see what we're dealing with. And it's just a Sports Illustrated magazine.
Yeah. There was a football player on the cover, and I thought it was O.J. Simpson. It was not. It was Emmitt Smith. But I like looked it up because I was like, if that was O.J. this week, it would have been real full circle with what we talked about before.
Well, luckily, this movie came out in '97, so if it had come out a little bit earlier, it might have been OJ on there. You know,
might have been the juice. Yeah, you got juiced.
So all that happens just to make this like Playboy joke or whatever. And what happens then? Why do they even go back up to that room? I don't even know.
I really just think I don't know, to drop to do that bit with the magazine. Like that was the only reason. And then at this point, Jenny, the Allison Mack character, has invited a bunch of friends over to have a party because the parents are out of town and they're doing kid things. And so she invites her friends over, who I must also note bring chips as well. So there's more chips in this situation. And they also
bring they got dip.
They got dip. You're not wrong. And they also bring a bubble machine.
Yeah.
And one of the girls points out it's her dad's bubble machine. Because every good dad has a bubble machine.
Dude, there's a little mini montage of them like setting up for this party. And the main attractions are incense, bubbles, and soda. And along with
ale.
Chips too. I forgot about the chips. But I feel like they had bubbles already set up before the first friend showed up with more bubbles. Am I wrong? Or did she help set up the party?
I didn't track that. Yeah, I didn't track that.
There might have been the first girl who came and helped set up, and then more came afterwards.
That seems right. That sounds right.
Yeah.
I think one girl, the cheerleader girl, showed up, and then and then who else shows up? Who's the other friend? There's one other future celebrity.
Yeah, we got Mila Kunis.
Yeah.
One might have been her first movie. I don't know.
It might have been. I'm not sure. I know she started pretty young, but
they said she's the cool girl who plays who plays Little League or something like that. And I think the boy has a crush on her, right? Is that what they implied?
I
Although
think
it
there's an implication there. Yeah.
doesn't really go or do anything with that, but that is in there. No, she was in an episode of Walker, Texas Ranger before this movie, even.
Who
Wow.
was she now? I don't know if I know that one.
And we know a lot about Walker.
Tanner and I watched a lot of Walker, Texas Ranger in college together. Yeah.
Yeah, we may have made like a drinking game to it that sip along with the show. It was one of our prides and joys, one of our early creative efforts.
Absolutely.
And now we're here.
Now look how far we've come, Tanner. We're still making the same stupid jokes while we watch TV together. We just don't drink a 6-pack of beer while we're doing it. You know?
No, at least like more like a 5-pack now.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we got Mila Kunis here. We got a bunch of gals. We're having a real gal pal party, and the boys decide, yes, we will be our party slaves. Doesn't he say or servants or something? What does he say?
He does use the word slave, which I don't think you would put in a movie these days. But
I mean, it is funny that Allison Mack again is looking to have slaves.
Jesus, dude, I did not make all these connections. And
I'm telling you, I had no idea it was her until like I just happened to look it up like 30 minutes into the movie, and it changed every time she did an action. I was like, whoa, my god, okay, like trying to make these connections. Obviously, it's really there is no real connection, but I'm making them in my head as like, oh, this sounds like it could be.
Can you believe that this is the girl that is saying this? No, absolutely, man.
Oh,
I feel like I would have
seen
her perform totally differently if I'd been watching it the way you were watching it. Because I thought her, she did a good job as like the sweet daughter. Like
she was really good. Yeah.
And
it's all innocent stuff, really. It's just funny to try to like look at it through that lens,
through the context of her recent, infamy.
Yeah. So Allison's brought over all her new recruits here to her birthday party. And
they haven't gotten to the branding yet. Instead, it's still a ginger ale party, and they've got the bubbles going. And they kind of sneak in here that Mitch needs his pills, and they'll come back to that later. But his potassium deficiency is starting to flare up a little bit.
Yeah. So let's see. We got the boys on like rollerblades rolling around as a waiter, like with like little glasses of it looks like champagne, but it's probably just like juice or something. What are the parents doing though? Something with
this is the cockroach scene, I think, right?
Oh yeah. So they find a bunch of like cockroach turds. As they call them.
That is what they call them. They end up. The Wayne says it's not a problem. These are dry cockroach turds. The real problem is if you find one that's wet, and then he pokes one, and that one's wet, and so fresh roach turds.
That means there's a roach nearby, and lo and behold, there he is.
Right then and there, yeah.
What even happens with the roach stuff?
They run away from the roach. The roach doesn't move nearly as fast as the roaches that I've seen in my life. But it kind of slowly follows them, and they run through a little roach motel. And then pop out the backside. There's like a little spot without glue along the very corner that they can get through, and the roach gets stuck. But this scene was actually kind of terrifying.
If you're not aware, a roach motel, by the way, is not like a nice, cool place where roaches hang out and like stay the night. This is a place where roaches go to die.
Thank you, Tanner, for that clarification. Yeah, that's exactly it.
You liked this scene?
Well, I don't know if I liked it. It was kind of terrifying, though, when the roach is like kind of stuck to the glue and it's like attacking the wife. And Wayne has to go back in and like pull her out. And I don't know, just kind of the way we were talking about the first movie with the kid getting stuck in the pollen. This scene to me was like, when I was watching, I was like, this would have been terrifying as a small child.
Yeah, it's pretty gross.
Yeah, pretty gross.
Although, again, the effects aren't as good. Like the creepy way they make everything look with like the hairs and all that stuff in that first movie is just so much different. Yeah,
very true.
Where else?
But yeah, so then the party. The parents are still up in the upstairs, and they need to get downstairs to meet up with the kids after they've escaped from this roach. And they could have taken the railing, but instead, Tanner, what do they take down?
They ride bubbles.
Woo!
They hop in the bubble machine and ride a bubble. Like they're like, oh, this will work. This is our idea. This is gonna work. Let's just jump into these bubbles. And then they get separated. So the dads both go into the living room where the girls are having their little party, and then the moms go into the kitchen or something, right?
Yeah, they kind of have two different missions at this point. They figured out that Mitch needs his meds, and so the moms are going to do that, and the dads are going to the stereo because they think that they can like retrofit it so that they can actually talk loud enough that the kids will hear. So they kind of divide.
Idea the whole time, or did that come up later? I'm just curious.
I thought that they had that plan at this point in the movie, but you could be right. It could be later on.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, they go into the party room, and they pop their bubble pops right over their clam dip or onion dip, I think it is. Mm-hmm. And all the girls are eating out of this dip like wildly. They're all surrounded around the dip bowl like in a circle, just fiendishly eating out of it. And they're dodging chips left and right.
Yeah, this is Wayne and Gordon. I wrote on my thing, they fell in the least safe place in the entire house because there's so many chips.
There's so many.
There's so many chips. Like, of course, that
them...
dip is not a safe place to be.
Yeah. It's bad. Yeah, it's not looking good.
Yeah. This is the first time I noticed that was actually Mila Kunis, by the way, was in this scene.
Oh, really?
I didn't put it together when I first saw her, and I feel kind of stupid about that. Also, on Amazon, George Carlin is credited in this movie as Animals, and I wasn't sure if you had any thoughts on that or connections to that.
What do you mean?
When I watched it on Amazon, and if you pause it, it'll give you the right there, George Carlin.
George Carlin, Animals.
But
what animals?
Was he the cockroach?
I mean, there's only a cockroach and a daddy long legs, as far as I know.
Yeah.
Quark isn't even in this movie.
Oh, why isn't Quark in this movie?
Are animals? Was that something at the science exhibit or the lab where he works? Maybe
I don't know. But George Carlin's such a big name, and the whole time I was trying to figure out what he was doing.
Maybe he was the voice of the dog saying hello.
Oh, in the lab.
Like where they had the translator machine.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know.
Okay, that makes sense.
Just a thought, but it just says animals.
Yeah. Okay.
That makes no sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So at this point in the movie, everyone's doing pretty good. There's some marital strife between Diane and Wayne, but they've kind of patched things up at this point. The kids are enjoying their party. The kid with a potassium deficiency is flirting with a bunch of cute girls that are at the house. So everything's good. Only problem, earlier in the movie, they were playing Truth or Dare, and Allison Mack calls up the cute boy, Ricky King, and tells him he's cute. So now him and all of his teenage boy friends show up to their sick party.
All the cute boys from school show up. Hot boys alert.
Yeah.
It's just like the classic 90s. They got those bowl cuts and the long flannels. It's so stupid. Yeah. So they show up and they're assholes, these kids.
Yeah, they kind of bully the other two boys, Mitch and Adam, until they have to go upstairs. So
the dad, there's a lot of things kind of happening simultaneously, but the dads get out of the clam dip thing, and somehow, how do they clean off? Because they're like covered in clam dip, and then they're just not.
Great question. I don't think they explained that.
They're just. They were like head to toe in like white dip.
Yes.
And now they have zero evidence of that on their clothes or anything else.
Mm-hmm.
But they're like, oh, teenage boys at a party. We really got to stop it. We got to get to this microphone and or the speaker and turn it into a microphone ASAP. And then there's a song on the stereo playing at the party. Did you notice this?
I didn't. You're gonna have to give me this one.
Some original music by Kevin Page in this movie, I guess. In the credits, it's like the same guy made all these songs. But this song, the lyric is, "I feel a little better when I'm banging it out, bang, 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 banging it out." That's the song.
Weird lyrics for a kids movie, dude.
It's so weird. I think maybe they're trying to imply that it's like, maybe things are getting like sexy or something like that. We got to watch out for our teenage kids, and I don't know. So they add this song on the speaker just to like amplify that joke or something.
Yeah.
Or that fear. Yeah. So while that's happening, the moms are both shrunk as well, obviously, and they come across a daddy long legs that's stuck on a little web, right?
Yeah.
Earlier in the movie, they had made a reference to not killing daddy long legs. They're like a good spider, is that right? But the mom's like trying to kill it. She's like crazy about wanting to kill these daddy long legs, but they tell
it's
her not
another
to.
one of those like one-offs. I don't know, like a Chekhov's gun thing, where like they hinted at it earlier in the movie and then it comes back around. Mm-hmm. But this daddy long legs is stuck in a spider web. Is that a thing that can happen with daddy long legs?
Probably.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean,
maybe you're right.
Yeah. I mean, why not? It got one of its long legs. They're kind of weak little spiders, you know.
Sure.
I don't, and they don't make like webs like normal spiders.
Eat a daddy long leg?
I feel like I've seen them trapped in spider webs before, but maybe I'm just mistaken.
Okay, maybe you're right. Yeah.
Either way, yeah, it's stuck, and then the other mom she's like, "Oh, we got to kill it." And she just hates daddy long legs and spiders, and they're like, "No, that's one of the good spiders." And wait, Chris, tell me why they're so good. Much like our bees conversation the other day. Do you know?
I think daddy long legs don't bite humans, and they don't hurt humans. But they do eat like gnats and mosquitoes and smaller bugs that do hurt humans. So it's good to have them around.
I will say
that's the thinking. Yeah,
they're the one spider. If I saw a spider like crawling on my wall or in my bed or something, like I'd be like, ew, ew, ew. But like daddy long legs never freaked me out. Maybe it's because they move a little bit slower and they're easier to see. You know, they don't like hide and like.
They're not going to
find things and under things and scurry around. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so they decide to save this daddy long leg and ride the web that's connected to it up to the top of the kitchen counter, right?
Yep, they sure do.
Yeah, what else happens here? I think this is where the boy that I can't remember, Jenny has a crush on that called to say he was cute. He's like, "Hey, why don't you come to the kitchen with me? I think you're pretty cool." And he tells her all these cool things, and the moms kind of hear this. They're like, "Don't believe him. He's just using a line." And he's telling her how great she is and stuff, and tries to like make a move on her and give her a kiss. And she like gets all upset about it. Rightfully so. Mm-hmm. And yeah,
she wasn't into getting kissed unsolicited. There was no consent here, and she kind of explains that and says that the party's over. She doesn't. She wants to get to know him first. And the mom Patty, is beaming with pride that she handled herself and she can trust her daughter around these teenage boys, and et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. Anything else from that little scene? There's a lot of little bits going on here. The dads are climbing up the stereo still, and Rick Moranis has made his way into like the stereo box, and he's going to do some like electronic magic in there. And meanwhile, Mitch's potassium deficiency is getting pretty bad. So the boys are in the kitchen, or come down to the kitchen a little bit later to look for the pills. And the moms have found the pills, but can't move the bottle because it's too big. So they come out to try and get Mitch's attention to show him where the pills are.
Yeah. So there's a brief moment where Mitch is like starting to hallucinate and like he's gonna pass out from lack of potassium or whatever. And he like looks on the table, he sees them, but like thinks he's like dreaming or hallucinating them or something. And then passes out on the ground. So there's a little moment of like, oh no, he's passing out. We need to get his pills or
They do say he
potassium.
faints. They do say he faints. So this was the second faint that I've got written down from.
Yeah, he faints after seeing the parents, but this time it wasn't. It was because he has a medical reason to faint.
Right.
So, a little bit different.
This is the first explained faint of this this movie franchise. Yeah.
First reasonable faint. Yeah, so they're like, oh my God, we got to get some potassium. Potassium. What has potassium? Bananas. And they have like 20 bananas.
Yeah.
And so they start like
of bananas. Like who shops like that?
They start just like pushing pieces of banana down his mouth while he's on the ground, and that saves him.
Yeah. Why is he taking medicine if all he needs is half of a banana?
No, that's what I was gonna say. This fucking idiot.
Yeah.
He's walking around the house like, I can't find my pills. I don't know what to do. When he can just eat a banana and be totally fine.
Not even a whole banana. He just ate like half of it.
Just take a bite.
It's crazy.
A few bites, and you're totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
How would he not know after he has this condition for a long time? He's not a toddler, he's a reasonable age. He should know, like, hey, I just need to get like a banana or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had a real issue with that aspect.
Yeah, it was really stupid. He didn't know. He had no idea. Yeah. Also, I think mustard, if you ever are low on salt, mustard is a better way to get potassium than bananas.
Really?
By the way.
Good to know.
You don't need as much of it. It has more potassium. So people
you're saying,
will like
dip your banana in mustard if you're like really hurting. Like this would have saved the guy.
Yeah, you need to be dipping your banana in mustard. It's all that yellow color. That's what does it for you.
Hell yeah.
No, but some people will drink mustard packets on marathons because it's supposedly gives you that salt a little quicker.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wait, are salt and potassium, is that a link there as far as?
Potassium is one of the two main ions that your body uses to send signals around. So it's like a pretty important electrolyte to get back into your body.
I mean, you said when you need
sodium
salt.
And potassium.
Okay, sodium and potassium are linked. Okay.
Those are the kind of the two electrolytes that your body uses the most, I think.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he is totally fine, saved by the banana. Then back to the party. You're getting these boys just kind of like just destroying this house, really. There's like a rotating bookshelf, right?
Yeah.
Is that the invention that they show here?
Yep.
And they're just like spinning it out of control, and the books are flying off of it, and they're like, get the hell out of my house. Finally.
Ricky King's so upset because he didn't get smooches like he wanted. So he throws a little tantrum.
And they're like, my dad invented a shrink ray. He's like, your dad sucks, blah, blah, blah. My dad invented a shrink ray. And he's like, oh, yeah, what does he shrink with it? Hemorrhoids?
What? What is that joke? I wrote that down, too. Like, what? Is that a burn?
Yeah,
is
it's
that
a burn.
An old person joke?
I felt that burn from all the way over here.
Okay, fair enough.
And so right when this is all happening, they get the speaker working. So Rick Moranis has crawled into the speaker by the TV or whatever, by the stereo, and has rewired it using gum foil from like a gum wrapper.
Mm-hmm.
He just wraps it around one thing, and that's all it takes to make it so the speaker turns into an amplifier, like a microphone for the other dad, which again makes no sense, I don't think, but it doesn't matter. It's kind of a fun idea.
If you're talking into the speaker, where is the sound coming back out of?
I mean, I'm assuming legitimately out of the other speaker, because they make a point, it's like the left speaker and right speaker.
Okay, that makes sense to me, I guess. Okay, that's plausible enough for this movie,
Yeah, even then, just like putting the foil over like one part of the internal workings. I think that was the only set in this movie, though, that was like a small set, was him inside of the, it's like a microchip board, right?
Yeah, you might be right. And honestly, I liked it.
Yeah. No, if that's the thing, is
playing around in a set.
Those big sets are like what make the first movie so good, a set of like tiny things, blown up to your size. So that happens. He gets on there. The voice comes on and he says, "Leave my house," whatever he says. He pretends to be the voice of God, and he's like naming the boys' parents and stuff, and they're getting kind of freaked out, so they finally leave, and save the day. Very
That's
low
right.
stakes, save the day.
They got these like rambunctious 12-year-olds out of the house, and day's been saved.
They were pretty rambunctious, though.
They were. Ricky King, he's bad news, dude.
He is a bad kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're like, "Hey, come and save us. We accidentally shrunk ourselves." And that's what they do. They get him into the parents, or the mom and the dad, into two separate little Hot Wheels cars. I guess they just wanted to use that piece again. They bring him up and they re-enlarge them.
I was really hoping that they were going to make that car big.
Yeah, me too. I thought that was going to happen. I thought
they put the parents in the car. I thought they were going to make the car big, but they don't.
I thought there was going to be a joke of like, "Oops, we accidentally enlarged the car up in the attic, and now there's a giant car in the attic."
Yep.
And there's no way to shrink it now.
Yeah. The FDA says we can't do it, so now I've got a big toy car.
So yeah, they're normal size now. Oh, they find one little touch that I liked as well was the two moms were found on top of a brochure, like sunbathing on top of a brochure for the place that they were supposed to be going on vacation to, which I thought was kind of a funny little bit.
They got to have their little vacation at the end anyway.
Like on top of the brochure of the place. That's kind of a clever little bit. I like that.
No, I agree.
And so right before they're about to enlarge them, they had the big question of like, should we bring our parents back or should we have total freedom? Keep them in a hamster cage, and they're really contemplating not enlarging them. Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. That's like the kid wish fulfillment moment that they wanted to include, right? Like,
it's gotta be.
That's kind of that whole thing. It was like, oh, we're home alone. You know, the thrill of the Home Alone movie is like, oh, parents are gone. We can do whatever we want. We can run amok and, eat snacks and do all. That's like the
chili volcano.
Chili volcano. But that's like the whole thing with like Home Alone and this idea is like, oh, the parents are gone. We can do whatever we want. That's like the childish wish fulfillment thing. So they have that little moment and they bring him back. And what happens next, Chris? How does this movie end?
Yeah, then it kind of wraps up some loose ends. So the Tiki Man also gets brought back to big size. But Diane has realized that, she's going to let her husband do his thing. And, she's grateful for her family. And so the Tiki Man gets to stay. And they decide to let Adam go to baseball camp instead of Camp Isosceles. Gordon gets the president job at the science company. Because Wayne wants to focus on doing inventions, and then what's the final shot here?
Well, does it? So the Tiki Man comes back up, and I think she just decides you can have the Tiki Man, whatever you want, honey. I love you. Just like for some reason he proved to her that having this ugly Tiki Man in their house, and I get it, it's like an eyesore. Like, why would you want this in your living room? You don't.
Great question.
You can have it. He should just keep it up in his man cave or whatever, his invention room. It's just like that's what the man cave is all about. Put what you want in there. Anyway, so for some reason they decide this movie's going to end with, now I get to keep the Tiki Man in my backyard, but he enlarges it even bigger. So he has a massive Tiki Man in his backyard, towering over his house.
Exactly. It's towering over his house, which is just insane to me. And it also got me thinking at this point in the movie, is there not like a medium setting? Can't he make it like a foot tall and like have it around or like 6 inches tall and it could be on his desk? Like
we talked about this. It's either, large or small. It's like Godzilla size or, microscopic.
Yes.
We talked about this last week.
There's
with like the dials. Adding dials to these machines, it's like, okay, like ramp the power up or like do like different levels of power, but it's all or nothing, I guess.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's how it ends with the
Yeah,
giant
but it ends
Tiki Man.
again with the Tiki Man, this weird like construct that they decided to build this movie around, and now it's 60 feet tall in his backyard, towering over the house. And it also just seems like a really weird way to end that marital argument. Like, not only did he get to keep the Tiki Man, but he's going to make it more of an eyesore and more inconvenient to have around. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it makes no sense. I didn't understand the Tiki Man stuff at all. It's funny, but it makes no sense.
Yeah, and that's the movie. We made it to the end.
That's it. Honey, we shrunk ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Boy, did we ever.
Chris, did we enjoy ourselves?
A little bit, a bit. Like, it had some fun moments, and I still like this kind of storytelling better when you're small and you get to like have these big adventures in a really normal place. So I like the Shrink movies, I think, both better than the Blow Up movie.
And the Blow movie, yeah.
Yep. But like the special effects on this movie were hard to watch. I didn't really like the actor that they cast for Gordon. I found him to be kind of shrill and annoying. And yeah, I don't know. I liked it medium. How did you feel about this thing?
You thought Gordon was shrill?
Yeah, I just didn't like him. I just thought he was annoying.
Well, I thought it was okay. Actually, I think the jokes are actually somehow better than the last movie, not the first movie.
Yeah.
Because the second movie didn't really have jokes, but that one's skirted by complete nostalgia for me. But everything about the effects and everything are just so much worse. I thought it was okay though for a direct-to-video, harmless 75-minute movie. Like, it seems like an episode of the TV show or something where it's just kind of like, a fun little diversion, I guess.
And I mean, Rick Moranis is in it, and he's still great. I liked a lot of the performances from the kids, and
I thought Moranis was like a nothing burger in this movie. Like yeah, I don't know. I actually liked the two other parents. I liked that guy's a really good character actor. He's in a ton of movies, like so many movies. Yeah. I think he's okay. Not that he was stand out in this one at all, but he's I thought he was fine, and the other lady was pretty good. She's in a bunch of stuff too.
Yeah. I like the moms. I just thought he was kind of an annoying presence.
I thought his wife Diane was like horribly acted.
Yeah.
That was my interpretation. She was playing this kind of manic over the top version of the mom. But like doesn't have the chops to do manic and over the top and comedic like that. So it just came off a little bit cringy sometimes when she was trying to make her jokes.
And her like character arc didn't make any sense either, because like she ended up falling back in love with Wayne, even though Wayne fucked up with the shrink ray again, and kind of ruined her vacation with her sister-in-law.
Yeah, they keep trying to shoehorn that into each of these movies where the wife is upset and they're having like troubles because of Wayne and his inventions. In this movie, it wasn't even his inventions though. It's just the Tiki Man.
The Tiki Man, yeah.
Just the Tiki Man.
Oh my.
So crazy.
So crazy.
So yeah, I thought it was okay. I don't know. It's a pretty throwaway movie.
I think this was like for a direct to TV movie. I think this is this is as good as you could hope for. It was fine for what it was. But yeah, I think the visuals were just kind of distracting to me. They kind of took me out of it fairly often.
The whole reason the first movie works is because of the effects and like the sets and like, it's one of those things that we learn from watching these franchise movies where you have these great ideas and they keep trying to replicate it, but if you don't have the same, you don't have that same budget or whatever it is, you don't have that same just seed of a great idea, then it's all lost. You get a bunch of fun small ideas that are like, oh, we have all these great ideas for things we can do when we're small, but you only have a $7 million budget. So there's no way to do any of this stuff. So then it loses its appeal. By not having that. And like I said, it cost $7 million. But this went direct to video, so there's no box office here. But it did sell 1.5 million copies in its first month.
My.
On VHS, or a lot of those are probably, video stores buying it and people renting it, and people buying it for themselves. And the article I read from 1997, right after it came out, said like it was a huge like video hit, and that it made its money back for sure just in video sales.
Sure.
So
I think
it
just
was
being a sequel to a movie that was as popular as Honey, We Shrunk the Kids,
Yeah. And having Moranis in it, is key for that. For people to be like, oh, okay, this is a continuation. It's not just like slap on some new family and like use the name. They did try to incorporate all the characters. Like it followed along in the same timeline pretty well, I guess.
Yeah. No, it fits as a sequel for sure.
Yeah. Chris, would you have liked to see... Oh, did I mention this was Rick Moranis' last live-action movie he ever made?
You didn't. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. This was his last one. And, no wonder. No, he stopped to, raise his kids or whatever, and that's why we never saw him. He kind of just retired. He did some voice acting and stuff for the next, 15, 20 years or whatever it's been since then, or 27 years.
Yeah.
And I was looking up the newest thing he did where he appeared live was that a Mint Mobile Super Bowl commercial with Ryan Reynolds. I don't know if you saw that.
I don't think I did.
But it came out a couple years ago, I think, and he was
sure.
That was like the first time you see Rick Moranis in a long time.
Since this, yeah, crazy.
Yeah. And the moment he came up on the news when he got punched randomly in the face in New York. Did you hear about that?
Who would punch Rick Moranis?
That was like what all the people were talking about. Why would you punch Rick Moranis? He's a treasure.
He absolutely is a treasure. Yeah.
I don't think it was just a random accosting. It wasn't like, I don't think, fuck you and your... I hated Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves. This was not true to the story. So there's that. Chris, do you think... Timeless versus Time Capsule, I'm not even going to ask. It's a direct to TV nothing. Movie. It's neither. Yeah. Do you think they should have made more sequels of this? Where do you think it should have gone or should go from here?
I mean, I was interested because what's going on with Shrunk? They announced another sequel and then it got canned. Is that kind of what's going on?
Yeah, with the pandemic and stuff, it kind of got delayed, and then it's in just hiatus as of last year.
Okay, got you. Yeah, I think it would be. Special effects have come out so far since these movies came out. I mean, if you could get Rick Moranis back, or just another good lead and some good kids, I think rebooting Honey, I Shrunk the Kids with better special effects would be, a movie worth trying to make. But I think with where this franchise was in 1997, I think they were smart to walk away from it when they did.
I mean, they kind of, the closest thing that, and it just dawned on me, that they've done since then is the Ant-Man movies, which has a lot of they have a lot of gimmicks and gags in a similar style where it's like him being small and stuff. Although that is all like CGI, green screen kind of stuff. I think if they rebooted it, they should do practical sets. I feel like it's the only way for something like this, right?
Do you think so? Because the Ant-Man set pieces are so effective, I think.
Well, I guess maybe it's just when they get into the quantum verse and stuff. It's so like, I have so much fatigue over those kind of like superhero battle scenes and stuff.
Without a doubt.
There's probably like small to large effects that do look pretty good in that I'm not thinking of.
Yeah. No, that's a great point, though. I hadn't connected this to Ant-Man, but yeah, I guess you're right. They're already kind of doing these big, small storytelling with that.
Yeah.
So maybe there's not a spot for these anymore. I don't know.
I still just think practical effects and sets though are like they ground you so much more in the movie. Yeah, with supplemental CGI is great, but yeah. So Yeah, you want another direct sequel? Is that what you're saying, or like a full reboot?
I think a full reboot at this
Full
point,
reboot.
unless,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could do a direct sequel, maybe make, kind of do what Vacation did and make Adam or Nick into the main character, and like maybe Rick Moranis is the grandpa if you could get him to come back, something like that. But
I think that's what they were doing because they had Josh Gad playing Nick.
okay, yeah,
So, yeah.
I think that could have worked, but maybe we'll get to see that movie, and maybe we won't.
Yeah, a lot of the same people are in this from the credits of this Shrunk show that never happened.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of the same people. We got Eve Gordon as Diane Soslinski. We got Patty, the same Patty,
Patty's back.
The mother-in-law from this movie.
Yep.
Charles Hendrickson was like the bad guy in the last movie, right? Dr. Charles Hendrickson.
He was. You're right. Yeah.
So they tried to bring a lot of people back here, and then it looks like they have grandkids and stuff. We got a Maddie Soslinski, Mitch. Anyways,
Mitch was in that one. He was the potassium.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
I think it's
also it's interesting. Sainty Nelson is Ricky King. On the credits we're seeing there.
Wait,
Ricky King was the bully, and it's played by a woman here.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder what's going on here.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's listed wrong. I don't know.
Maybe he had a sex change in the movie or something, and that was an angle they were going to play up.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so who knows what we'll get out of this franchise. I don't know if it's like there's a big money-making venture to be had here, but I think it's one of those nostalgia things that people would definitely view, at least on Disney Plus or something like that.
I had really enjoyed watching these movies with you these last few weeks. I think there's untapped potential here, but maybe you're right. Maybe just kind of the culture has moved past a kid's shrink ray movie. I don't know.
Yeah. I've got an MVP. My MVP of this movie, Chris, is the runtime, 75 minutes.
That's the runtime. Yep.
My beef would be the special effects. You got anything you want to add on that?
Yeah, I mean, maybe the MVP. The kids were pretty good in this movie. We've talked about that. Yeah, I mean, some of the ideas that they had, but like you said, it just doesn't quite connect because the graphics aren't there, and so the overall feeling of the film isn't quite what you want it to be. Yeah, I don't know if I've got a real maybe I'll go with you on runtime. I don't know if I have a good MVP. Yeah, and then just we've kind of covered those bases for me, I think.
A brisk 75 minutes.
That's right. That's right.
Okay. Well,
I shrunk the runtime.
Yeah, if we could get that down to 70 minutes flat, just on the movie mark.
Just over that 69-minute cutoff, yeah.
All right. Well, that is the movie. Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves. That's the franchise. Chris, there's only one thing left to do with this franchise. Are you ready?
That's right. Yeah, we got to rank them up, baby.
We got to rank, and I feel like this isn't going to be like a Ghostbusters ranking, which was one of the hardest decisions of my life. But yeah, we're going to rank the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids movies. Do you want to go first, or should I?
Let's let you go first this time.
All right. Chris, I'm going to blow your mind here.
Hit me.
Number 1, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Number 2, Honey, I Blew Up the Kid. Number 3, Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves. And you know what? I'm going to just say that I think Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves might be a better movie than Honey, We Blew Up the Kid.
Yeah.
Just like, I think it's funnier, actually. I think the jokes are actually better and like kind of funny, and there's way more ideas for what to do with the small set piece. You know, there's way better ideas of like, oh, we got this shrunken world. Let's put them in the Hot Wheels car. Let's put them in the laundry bin. Let's, go down on a fishing wire. All these fun things. Whereas the Honey, I Blew Up the Kid had no ideas for what to do with its giant baby. I mean, like a couple.
Yes.
And one of them included grabbing like a giant guitar and then just standing around. That was pretty much all they could do with it, was just like, oh, look, there's a big baby. Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
And there were so many things I could have done with that, but I'm still ranking it above this movie because for some reason
Because
my
it's so low
nostalgia for it.
budget. Yeah. Okay.
No, it's just my nostalgia. It's all nostalgia. Even though I do think the other
Yeah.
movie is the Honey We Shrunk Ourselves is actually a better movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Why don't you go?
Yeah. So once again, I will shock you as well. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, #1. Great movie, franchise starter. It's yeah, great kids movie. #2, Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves. For all the reasons you just said, I just think that the movie is it uses its gimmick more creatively, and it's not hampered by because the second movie they just had to build around a non-compliant toddler. So like whatever the toddler gave them was what made it into the movie, and they just didn't use a giant baby as creatively as I thought they could. And then I also talked about it a bunch last week. Like I think both of the Shrunk movies have a more interesting setting because it takes the audience into a place, into a point of view, and like gives you a perspective that you wouldn't normally have as an audience member. And the second movie doesn't do that because you are following around characters that are normal sized the whole movie, and the thing that's out of place is the baby. So even though the graphics in this movie or the special effects are not great, and they're kind of rehashing the marital stuff, and Diane's performance isn't great, and I didn't like Gordon's performance. Still, I thought this movie was more fun and more entertaining than the last one. So I would put this one over that one. So
I
probably,
I probably would have voted for that, like if I really had to on full merit, like movie wise. You know what I mean? Like, I think you're right. I think you're right, but I'm like emotionally right. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
Like,
and honestly,
just for my own childhood, yes, it's only because of that.
I don't think those two movies are that far apart either. You know what I mean? Like the first movie is so much better than either one of the sequels that, I think I'll co-sign on yours too. That's fine.
And I think if I had to throw the TV show in there, I'd probably do Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, the movie, then the TV show.
Me too.
And then 2 and 3. Yeah, I think the TV show is second.
It's better than either of the sequels, yeah.
Although I watched another episode this week. Do you want to move into that?
Yeah, let's jump in. I don't have any milk this week, so we're leaning on you.
That's all right.
For the TV show.
I got milk enough for the both of us. I mean, not a whole lot, but I got some milk and some soy milk.
Ooh. I don't know what that means, and I'm excited to find out.
Well, we've talked about it before. Soy milk is like fake milk, right? So it's like knockoff. Right. It's the knockoffs and stuff like that. It's not really from the cow, but it's like trying to be. So an imitation, yeah. So let's see. And some soy milk can be just as good on its own, if not better than the original, what it's trying to imitate. Sometimes it's not. Anyway, just really nailing in that pun there.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So this TV show, this episode is from season 3, episode 2. I wanted to get a season 3 in there to see how it evolved. It's called It's called Honey, It's a Billionaire's Brain. Honey, It's a $1 billion brain. Wait, is that what it's called? Honey, It's a $1 billion brain. And honestly, I know I just said how good the show is. This one kind of stunk. I mean, it was just kind of boring because it was doing like a Frankenstein thing. There were some fun things about it. So Wayne brings a dead man's brain back to life to swap scientific ideas for inventions with him, apparently. I kind of half-watched this, so I'm kind of like trying to piece it together myself. Yeah. But it takes place, it shows him in the past, like meeting this old billionaire inventor guy, and he's like cool hippie dad, or not, before he was a dad. This cool hippie guy. And then he just like, this guy dies later on in like real time, and he puts him in his brain into a jar, and it's like the brain in the brainstem, and brings it back to life. And now it's just like this floating brain and brainstem in a vat. And they even install eyes into it later. So the brain has like eyes. Like that whole stuff with the brain is very cool. But they do like a whole Frankenstein thing where it's kind of like really dark and moody looking, almost black and white looking in these rooms. But there's a little servant guy named Mongo. That's like his. Oh God, what's Frankenstein's servant's
Igor.
name? Igor.
Yeah.
So they kind of like try to play it up like a Frankenstein episode. And then there's all this weird stuff about his family, like trying to win Family of the Year. And so like the wife, it just like pretends she's like a housewife from the 50s and stops going to work. Amy becomes like this Swedish girl. Nick becomes like this punk British guy. It just doesn't make any sense. Maybe I missed something.
Yeah.
But it's a crazy episode. I don't know. The brainstem stuff is cool. But I feel like maybe it declined or they ran out of ideas.
Sounds like they kind of ran out of ideas. Yeah.
Yeah. So also I did realize that this show has John Landis involved in it, who we talked about not long ago. He did like Animal House and stuff like that. When we were doing Ghostbusters, he was a big
Blues
part
Brothers
of
too, I think.
that early stuff. Yeah, John Landis.
Yeah.
He directed and produced a lot of these episodes, which I just thought was interesting. They had some good folks behind it, is kind of what I was getting at.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's that show. Honey, We Shrunk Our Kids, the TV show. If you're looking for something fun to watch with your kid that's not Coco Melon, you can put that on. And then the soy milk of the week that I have, Chris. I watched a German movie, or part of a German movie. I'm not going to say I watched this whole thing, because how could you? Called Help, I've Shrunk My Friends. And it's got to be a lower budget than this other movie, than the movie we just watched, because it is bad. Let me tell you. I don't even know what to talk about it with it, but it's just.
Was it in subtitles or was it dubbed?
It was dubbed.
It was
dubbed on Tubi. This is on Tubi. Help, I Shrunk My Friends, and it's part of a series. So there's like Help, I Shrunk My Friends, Help, I Shrunk My Parents, and Help, I Shrunk My Teacher, which was the first one. And then Help, I Shrunk the Family. There's like a whole series of these German knockoff movies. And okay, here's what I remember from how it starts: is the boy in question here that shrinks everybody, shrinks his friends. It's not like a ray gun in this. It's just like a magical power or something. And he goes into like at the school where he's attending. There's like an old busk of like an old inventor, old magic man, or like the dean to the school. I don't know what he is. And it comes to life and starts talking to him, and like he says, you just concentrate and you can do all these things, and like this ball spins in this cup, and then he's able to like telepathically shrink his friends at some point. Yeah, that's
bonkers.
That's what this movie is.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's a series of really
shrink ray movie without a shrink ray. That's the fun part.
I know. It's not a shrink ray movie. It's just a shrunk movie.
Okay.
I think people forget that the shrink ray itself is what makes all this so fun. It's like, oh, this invention that does it. It's not some magical ability. That's stupid. Anyway, just some antics, and they try to he shrinks himself at some point and confesses and blah, blah, blah. I don't even know that's it. Basically that there's a whole series of these shrunken movies, and it's all except it's based on telekinesis or just like the concentrating ability of him to do it. So that's that.
Would you recommend them, Tanner?
No.
Okay.
No.
No.
I mean, I think even if you spoke German, it'd be really bad. Maybe the original one was kind of a fun movie. I don't know. Help, I Shrunk My Family, I think, is the first one. Looks like it's got a 17% on Rotten Tomatoes, so maybe not.
It's hard to break 20%. You got to cut these guys some slack.
It's true. It is hard to break 20%.
Yeah.
I don't even know if this is the same. I assume it's the same series. I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, that exists. Just this whole series of like foreign knockoff movies. Along, there's this movie, like we said, this franchise inspired a lot of drunken ideas. This series, the Grounded video game, which I just missed over this last weekend. They had like a free trial weekend, and I missed it. I could have actually tried it for free and talked about it, but anyway.
Wait, they had a trial weekend on what? Say that
for
again.
This Grounded game, which is like a survival game where it takes place in the backyard, where you're tiny. And you build
that's
forts
right.
with your friends and fight bugs and ride bugs as you're like transport or whatever it is. Which is like completely it is Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, the video game, basically.
Yeah.
So anyway,
just adventures in the backyard.
A very influential movie, a very influential franchise. And that's all we got to say about it, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. I hope that Shrunk movie comes out and we get to come back and revisit this one. But until we do, did you have a good time?
TV show.
What's that?
Did I have a good time?
Yeah. Did you have a good time?
I had a great time. Yeah. What about you?
I loved it. This was great. Super fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Something fun, a little bit different. It's not the big money making IP that we've covered before, but we're going to just watch whatever we feel like it. And speaking of influential franchises, we got a good one coming up next.
Hell yes, we do.
So you may have heard about the little remake movie on Amazon called Roadhouse with Jake Gyllenhaal and, oh God, what's that MMA fighter? Conor McGregor?
McGregor, yep.
Yeah, we're going to watch Roadhouse and Roadhouse 2 and then the remake of Roadhouse. So that's where we're headed next.
3 more movies.
Swayze. Really bad. Yeah, so many throat rips.
Yeah.
Really bad direct-to-video sequel and then a remake, which hopefully is fun. And that's where we're going. Chris, what should our listeners do?
Well, they should wait with bated breath until we get to Roadhouse next week. But also take a peek at the show notes. We've got our little survey that'll go along with this movie, Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves. It'll be some jokes, and please consider responding. We'll read your responses on the air next week when we're hanging out with Patrick Swayze at a bar near a truck stop, right? Isn't that where that thing is?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that.
I have the name of the bar on the tip of my tongue, but I can't think of it.
Well, we'll watch the movie again, and we'll be able to speak to it a little bit more next week.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Like and subscribe. YouTube. Give us a review on Spotify if you like the show, because we like people following along. It's fun.
Yes. Yeah, it's fun. Right. But yeah, thanks for listening. We'll check in with you guys next week.
See ya.